Who pays for the probate expenses in Georgia? Let's talk about that. You may be petitioning the court to be an administrator or an executor. Or maybe you already have your letters of administration and your letters of testamentary and you're just wondering who pays for all the expenses. And that's what we're going to get into this video today. Walk through different scenarios on who might be footing the bill. If you were to call me and say that you were beginning the probate process and you need a little guidance on with the house and everything, one of the first things I'm going to ask you is, does the estate have enough money to maintain the property, or do you have funds yourself to temporarily foot the bill until some of the money can become available? Because it kind of depends on whether or not the money is available depending on how and where you are in the probate process. So let's dive into 3 types of scenarios that you may run into depending on your situation. Number 1, the estate may have money. It may have liquid cash that you're able to continue to pay the mortgage or the bills, or if something happens and you have to repair something, you have the money to do that. If that's the case, then the estate is going to pay for it, and as the administrator or the executor, you're just going to use the estate money to manage the property. The second instance is where you might not have the money yet. So maybe you have to get your letters of testamentary or administration and you're waiting for that because there's a big insurance policy, but they won't pay that out until you have those letters. So you may have to temporarily foot that bill until you're able to get that money back from the estate itself. And if it's in that instance, the estate would owe you money back. So anytime you have to have money coming out of your pocket or any other family member's pockets, the estate can reimburse you for those expenses. But what if you are absolutely cash poor but house rich? Like, let's say that you either own the house outright or the mortgage is very low and all the money is sitting up in that house because maybe your loved one was living off of Social Security benefits or some kind of pension, and then when that person dies, that dries up, and if that was their only means for paying their bills, then there might not be the cash flow coming in to continue to maintain the home, but maybe the estate doesn't have extra cash. Maybe you don't either. So what do you do in that instance? There are probate lending companies out there that once you have your letters of administration, and this can be for somebody who is an administrator or an executor or an heir. An heir can go out and get money too. You just have to prove that you have this house and that it's valuable. They can lend you money temporarily so that you can still maintain the property. Now, if you have to go this route, then there's one company I recommend through one of my probate training groups that I've actually had an administrator use. And when you close on the house, obviously the estate owes back the money that you got from them, but that is a solution. That if you yourself are tight on money and there's none in the estate and it's all in the house, that would be a solution. Now, the next problem that I see that overwhelms somebody who's going through Georgia probate, whether it's an executor or administrator, is dispersing of the treasures. Your loved one's treasures, all the belongings that they have collected over a lifetime. What are you going to do with them? There's going to be some family members who may want them. If there's a will, there may be instructions in the will on who gets what. It may come to where you decide to do an estate sale to try to sell some of the items, or you may donate them. And if it's something that's obsolete that just can't be donated, you may just have to throw it in the trash. But what I offer my clients when I'm speaking with them about this is that you have options. You can do it yourself. You can absolutely hire your own trash bin, and they roll that thing out into the driveway, huge bin, and you can start tossing things away. You can be the one that goes out with the charities or what have you to donate to maybe Habitat for Humanity, or we have a local charity here called A Better Way, which they have a thrift store where people can go in and buy things. You could go that route. You can hire your own estate sales person. But let's go into that aspect, because most people I run into really don't go the estate sale route. But let's talk about that as an option, because you could totally do it. Some estate sale people will come in and help you get the house ready for the estate sale. Here's the question I would ask that person, because it's going to depend on how much money they charge you. And I had an heir that ran into this that was kind of upset after they hired the estate sales person. So you hire the estate sale person. Will they, after everything is sold and there's still some stuff left over, because there's still going to be some stuff left over, are they going to help you get rid of those items? Are they going to donate those items? Some estate sale people come in and do the estate sale, and then it's left up to you to continue to get rid of the stuff that's left over. Or there's some estate sale people out there, and you're going to pay for this. You're going to pay more for it. That when the estate sale is over, then they will pack up the rest of the stuff and get it out of the house for you. They donate it where they can donate it. They trash it. If it's something that's obsolete, that has to be trashed. Now, there is one more option, and these people are called senior move managers, and their niche in the market is really to help seniors downsize. So it's kind of a white glove service. They talk with the senior and decide on which items they're going to go ahead and give away, which items are going to fit in their new area, which items they need to donate, which items they're going to sell, which items they're going to trash. These people are equipped to work through the emotional process of downsizing. That's why they're also perfect for probate clients. If you are at a point you're like, hey, I am out of town. I cannot be there to sort through this stuff. I have kids. I have a job over here. Or if you tell me, hey, I am older. I can't lift this stuff. I barely have mobility as it is. Can't imagine moving this stuff out, let alone my own house. Then this might be somebody for you. Or if you're just so emotionally attached and you need somebody to help guide you through it, they're reasonable. If the house is relatively small and there's not a lot of things in it, I mean, I've had a move manager charge $2,500. There wasn't a lot of stuff in the house. There wasn't a lot to do. So I would say anywhere from $2,500, maybe $5,000. If you had a vast house, obviously they're going to charge more, because it depends on the treasures and it depends on the square footage, all the things that are in the house. But if you're in that situation where you're just like, I can't handle this, they can be for hire, and the estate can absolutely pay for them. Now let's talk about, you're getting the house ready. You've gotten the treasures dispersed, and now you're ready to go out and sell the property. Hopefully you're talking with a real estate agent who's like me, who understands the probate process, so you don't get into sticky situations because you don't know what you don't know. Let's talk about your options. If you're truly going to sell, obviously one of your options is to keep the home, and you can still ask a real estate agent to see if this is a good investment, because maybe you want to turn it into a rental property. But if you're really truly wanting to sell, then you have three options. You can sell off market to an investor, which is pro to this is it's fast. You can get that sucker sold quickly. Con is you're going to leave a lot of money on the table, and this is money you're not necessarily going to see, because that money sets in the equity of the home. And if you don't know that house's true property value, if you took it to the open market as is, you may be leaving money on the table for convenience. You need to go in with that decision with eyes wide open, knowing how much money you're leaving on the table. So again, getting with a real estate agent who can do a market analysis for you. You can absolutely sell it as is. Boy, that's one of the myths that people think, oh my gosh, I got to get this house fixed up. I cannot sell it as is. And that is not true. You can take any house on the market, sell it as is. I see it all the time where people are selling it as is. You don't have to make a repair. You're not getting the most amount of buyers in that situation, because you may have repairs that have to be done for certain loan products, but you're still getting it on the open market and hopefully getting a higher price than you would if you left it to selling it to an investor. Of course, the other option would be fixing it up, and I've had people do this. If they have a little bit of money in the estate and they're willing to take the little extra time to maybe put in new carpet and paint, Because if the house overall has good bones, but you make it move-in ready for somebody, you can get more bang for your buck that way. So if you really want to get the most amount out of it that you possibly can, then that is your other option. There's also companies out there like Curbio that I could recommend where if you don't have that cash to fix it up, but you have a lot of equity, and if you fixed it up, you could get more money, you can actually have them be pay at close. So I don't want to limit you or make you have a limited mindset that it's not possible to fix something up if you don't have money. We just need to explore that option. Call Curbio, see what kind of money they can get you, see what we can do with that money, and see if that's something that you want to move forward on. So you may be asking, well, if I want to hire you, Tanya, how does your real estate compensation work? Is it like a traditional sale? And I will say, first of all, that all compensation is negotiable. So whatever you negotiate with the real estate agent or with me, normally I tell people what my fee is, and my fee could vary. And what I mean by that, if you have a house that you don't have the leave to sell, and it's really going to take us extra marketing and convincing a buyer to hang in there, to go through that process of petitioning the court for the leave to sell, I may charge a little bit more for that because there's a lot more work that goes into that from my marketing standpoint, my support of keeping the deal together, because that could be a long process. That could be months on end trying to keep the deal together. Whereas if the house is ready to go and we have no problems and we can sell it, no problems, I mean, I might just charge the fee that I normally charge any buyer or seller. So it really depends on the complexity of the estate and the price point and all those things. The bottom line is it's so important to get with a real estate agent who understands probate. I can't say that enough. I can't tell you that this is not something that we learn when we go through real estate school or when we get to our brokerages to learn how to do real estate. You have to have an agent that actually seeks out that additional education like I have so that I can help people like you. Where do I see people like you who are going through probate make huge financial mistakes? The number one place I see that happening is when people aren't getting along. When they're fighting, it costs the probate court more money to do petitions, to do mediations, and maybe you have to have hearings, and that costs money to help have a lawyer help you through that process. It also drags out the process. So if you're dragging out the process, there's a carrying cost to maintaining a home, of keeping the utilities on and maintaining the taxes in the yard and all the things. And when that stuff is drug out, that's when the expenses skyrocket. So if you can get along with your family, please, please, please try. If you are going to be an administrator or an executor, share with the heirs what you're doing so they don't come suspicious and then all of a sudden saying, oh, you're doing something behind the scenes you're not supposed to be doing. So hopefully you can get along with your heirs and that they're not difficult. I think most heirs, when they want to fight the executor or the administrator, it's either that they want something or they don't think you're being transparent, or most of the time it's the eldest daughter who is either the administrator or the executor. I probably need to go back and look at all the probate deals I've done to see the ratio between male versus female executors and administrators. That'd be a fun thing to discover. The majority of the time I'm dealing with ladies, the eldest daughter trying to take care of the family. So if you can try to communicate with your heirs, that'll help you get through the probate process so much faster. So here is my advice in closing to you as an executor or administrator. Keep a spreadsheet. Particularly if you are paying out of your own pocket so the estate can pay you back. Even if that's not the situation, keep a spreadsheet. Keep it tallied. You're going to need it. It's easy to show an heir what you're doing if you're keeping a spreadsheet. Keep receipts. Keep all that stuff together. Communicate with your CPA because you're going to have to file a tax return on behalf of the estate. And like I said, try to keep the heirs in communication with you so that transparency just goes a long way. That's what I say. It just can really go a long way. Well, I hope you found this video helpful and maybe I calmed down some of your nerves around you know, who pays for what and how you could potentially get reimbursed and how you could potentially make improvements if you don't have cash on hand, or how maybe you need to go to one of those companies to lend you some money to get through the process temporarily. If you liked this video, maybe you should watch the next one, because this channel is all about probate, and I hope that this helped you, and I will see you next time. Bye.